Welcome to Mayor's Moments. I'm Jim Larkin, and joining me is Willowick Mayor Rich Bondi.
Hi, Jim.
Welcome.
It's been a while.
Been a while, that's for sure. A few things going on. How about your budget, your finances, the fun stuff?
We're filming this in December, and the directors start working on their budgets. The process is that I set out my goals for 2015 and ask them to do budgets that incorporate those goals for the city. Mm-hmm. And also I hear their needs as well and urge them to put them into the budget. And that's so we start from a philosophical, practical aspect, and then we get into the financial aspect of it. It just makes a lot of sense to me to do it that way. And then they create their budget, then they hand it into the finance director, then the finance director and I meet with each department head or chief individually, and that's when we say, no. We don't have that kind of money, and that's usually what works out. Or there's been times that I've said, this year with the service director, I told him, you've got to take trucks out of the general fund. We don't have a choice here. You can't have these rust buckets that don't work right on the streets anymore. We got a couple of bad trucks, get rid of them. So sometimes I'll add things into their budget. And then I also try to compare their capital needs with the 3-year capital plan that we developed a couple of years ago, so we stay true to that process. The problem that Willowick is facing is the same problem that every city around us is facing, and that we have started in 2014 deficit spending. We are spending more than we take in. Now, you might say, how can you do that? Well, we have last year, at the end of 2013, we had a $1.5 million carryover in the general fund. So it's a GF carryover. And what a carryover is just a balance.
Right.
It's when you spend all your checks at the end of the month and you have $500 in your checking account. That's what we have at the end of last year. Mm-hmm. When we set the budget, the finance director and I made it real clear to the 7 members of council that we are deficit spending. And cities always deficit spend. We used to deficit spend knowing that when the triennium hits, that's the 3rd year of a tax cycle, when homes are going to be reappraised, reevaluated, I should say, by the county auditor, that in Willowick, homes went up 4% a year. Mm-hmm. So we knew at the end of 3 years, the 3-year cycle, that we would have a 13 to 14% increase in that tax revenue in the general fund. So you could deficit spend because the next year the graph would go way up, and then it'll go up a little bit, and then back up again. Excuse me. It's not happening now because of the housing crisis that hit a few years ago, and that we actually lost money. And then the state came in and took away $1.1 million, actually 1.3, and that's why we had to go to a privatized tax collection at 1.1 million. Wickliffe is going to go to a privatized system in February, and they are the last holdout city in Lake County, probably in Northern Ohio. But you can't survive anymore. So we do a wonderful job budgeting. I mean, you can never criticize the administration or city council. Going back way before my administration, city always did a good job budgeting, a good job forecasting. Mm-hmm. We're pretty much on the money all the time. And we know that our carryover will probably be down to, we're deficit spending maybe $500,000 a year now. So it'll be down to under $1 million. Now there's some windfalls coming in. One for the sale of the city's property where Willow Beach is going to go. Okay. That's the senior housing project on the lake. That is actually, that was close to $300,000. Mm-hmm. Then there was we're waiting for a judge's determination and to do a journal entry where the money that we have as a result of a police investigation, it's a forfeiture, that will go in the general fund, and that's about $200,000, a little short of 200. So roughly $500,000 will go into the general fund, and like we explained to City Council, it looks like we're doing good. But remember, it's not sustainable.
Right.
And not all that money is going to go into general fund. Part of it's going to go into something called earned benefits, and that is the payouts that we have to give retiring employees.
Getting an older force.
Right. And we know that we have ready to go in the next couple of years 2 chiefs, 1 service director, and 2 police officers. And those are all big buck people. And as soon as they go, we have to have the money available, or we're eating out of the general fund. So we already set it aside in something called the Earned Benefits Fund. So our carryover will be down for 2015. We'll get through 2015 fine, but I'm always looking at what's going to happen in 2016.
Yeah.
And that's where what we're doing now is not sustainable. Wycliffe's in the same situation. Eastlake's legendary now. I think Willoughby's okay. I know Euclid was deficit spending for a while there. And so you've got to either increase your revenue or decrease your expenses. We've chosen to decrease our expenses. And what we're doing is the directors were told to, as much as possible, hold the line from last year. Whatever your spending levels, your budgetary levels were last year, I want them to be at that level or less for the coming year. So we've got to look at some long-term options on where we want to go with this community over the next 5 or 6 years, because we're not going to be able to sustain it. And we'll be Eastlake and Euclid in the same problems that they've faced and going to the ballot, and we don't want to do that.
But you want to provide the services.
Absolutely. I mean, our residents don't realize the good services that they have sometimes. I know those that are watching this saying, yeah, whatever. But it's true. What other city sucks your leaves up on your tree lawn? Most cities now have gone to bag them and they'll take them. We've never done that. We just suck the leaves up. Of course, you live in Eastlake, so.
They've never done it before.
Eastlake, you didn't bag.
They always. What I meant is they've always done it,
Okay.
and they're not doing it now.
Okay.
So
Right.
we bring them to. I brought mine with me today. No. Look at his face. No, unfortunately, we got a big wild area behind us to dump them.
Yeah.
But it's a concern, and a lot of these are going to lay there on the street on Lakeshore Boulevard and head towards Willowick.
No,
The wind.
we'll blow them right back. So, so we're going to be making cutbacks in some areas. The residents won't see it in terms of services, but for example, we had a building inspector retire and replace it with a part-time building inspector. Do we need another building inspector? Absolutely. I wish we had 4 in that department. And I got to replace a full-time one with a part-time one. We did hire a part-time building inspector to handle vacant properties. His job, he first
Specifically vacant properties, I know.
Right. He started by looking at commercial properties, and then he started looking at residential properties and making lists and data banks of them. And then he's gone back after the owners saying you've got to pay a registration fee, and then we're going to do an inspection every year. Which, as I told City Council, hold the line. You get criticized for this.
Oh, yeah.
But hold the line. It's important to fight blight in every community, and that's one of the ways to do it. One of the challenges we're facing is in these commercial properties, when Dale goes over to their property, and after sending them a letter and says, you know what, you got to register, and your property is vacant. They'll turn right around and say, oh no, it's not. I use it as a warehouse. I'm storing stuff in there. Okay, that's not a problem. Just make sure you get over to the service department and get your commercial license permit, pay the fee, and then we have to inspect your building. It's worse than vacant property. So it'll be interesting to see how that pans out, because all of a sudden we have warehouses all over the city of Willowick when they used to be office buildings and a hall and things like that. So So that's
The game with the budget.
it's always a challenge. I don't think people understand it, that it's a challenge because they don't see it. The one Thanksgiving weekend, I was so hoping that we wouldn't have to call the crew out.
For snow.
Right. I did allow overtime for leaf pickup because we were behind in leaf pickup because of the snow.
Week, yeah.
Yeah, lost a week, a little more than a week. And then, I thought, well, maybe I'll send them out the Friday after Thanksgiving. And I checked the negotiated agreement. Yeah, 2.5 times their regular hourly salary. I don't think so. No, we're not going to do that. That's a little exorbitant. Cost us thousands and thousands of dollars. So after the weekend's gone and there's a work day, now that doesn't occur. You just get
normal wages.
Time and a half. Yeah, but they were looking at 2.5 times their salaries. Thought, wow. So we didn't do that.
So what about snow plowing, and you've had a little practice with that and the street treating?
We're not going to do snow plowing this year. There's not going to be any snow.
Okay, that's good.
It's going to be sunny degrees. The snow plowing is going to go on as usual. We're not cutting any back or I mean, Eastlake cut back, and then right away people are posting on Facebook, do we have to bag our leaves in Wilwick now? And are they going to plow my street? I understand they're cutting back. Wrong city. Yeah, it's not us.
You don't have to gloat that much.
I have been emphatic with the crew. Be careful you're not dropping piles of snow or piles of salt. I don't want to see intersections with this much salt on there and little kids thinking it's a sandbox, because we can't afford that anymore. Our bids came in where our road salt was $116.41 a ton, up from $24 a ton last year. Last year we spent $68,000 on road salt. This year we will spend upwards near $250,000 on road salt, so that we can wreck the streets and bash into your curbs and then have to replace that. So it's not a good situation. I know that there's some thought of investigating Morton Salt, and I think that's probably a good idea.
It's quite an increase.
It is.
The salt's been sitting out there.
Now we are doing something different this year. We're pre-treating our roads.
Which is?
It's dropping a solution called Aqua Salina.
Okay.
Aqua Salina, which really is, it sounds Italian. I don't know whether it's Italian or French or Latin, but it means road salt, Aqua Salina. And what we do with this material is you drop it at areas like the mains, and then where there's abrupt turns, and then also where there's bus stops, if we can get around to it, and then intersections.
Is this a liquid or a solid?
Yes.
It is a liquid.
It is liquid, right. So we put the first treatment down, and it worked really well.
Good.
We didn't have to call out the snow plowers. And that stuff, I wrote it down because I wouldn't remember it, runs $60.
12 cents a gallon.
Yeah, it's 12 cents a gallon or $60 to do the whole city. So it's considerably cheaper than road salt. We're still going to salt.
Sure.
I don't want people to watch this and say, the mayor said we're not going to salt anymore. That's not the case at all. It's just watch what you do.
So in other words, you'd put this on as the temperature starts to drop and the snow starts moving in.
Right. Exactly. Like late afternoon when the crew's coming in. So.
Go along and take care of that. Mutual aid.
The concern that some residents had, and the concern that our neighbors, i.e. you.
Me?
Living in
Now,
East
come on, you assured me you were going to send a snowplow over.
That's not going to happen. But we do have our producer is telling me to get over here.
Yeah, try to stay on the same stage. I took a shower.
Holiday. We understand Eastlake's situation. Their police force now is a lot smaller than ours, and they are, I think, 5.5 square miles with about 4,000 more people than we have, and yet their police department is going to be a lot smaller. Their service department, I believe, has 12 guys. Ours has 18. And so they are not going to be able to do the services that they used to in the past. We probably can't help them in the service department, but we obviously can in police and fire and in emergency duty. And we've done that in the past, and they would do it for us as well.
Sure.
Other cities do the same thing. So we'll be at East Lakes Fires, and we always were anyway.
Yeah.
There will be times if they only have one car patrolling and they have to make some type of a stop, that they'll ask for backup from Willowick, and we'll give them that. So just
because having lived there, living in that city, they were going to lay off 15 people.
Yeah, they did that
the 1st of December. Yeah.
Yeah, apparently they did that.
Yeah.
It's pretty sad. I mean, it's got to be heartbreaking. So.
It's a tough issue because being a retiree, I'm not going to get hit by any income tax change, but
yeah,
a lot of people looked at, they just don't want any taxes. That's it. Don't confuse me with facts. I don't want any more taxes.
No, I don't think anybody wants any more taxes. That's for sure.
But then when they don't get any services,
Yeah, I own 3 houses just in Willowick alone, and I pay zillions of dollars a year in taxes.
Not complain to the mayor.
That's right. I'm calling the mayor up and telling him I pay your salary.
That's the way to. That's a good one.
That's right.
That really works, doesn't it?
I'm the only mayor in Western Lake County that pays his own salary from taxes, but it's worth it.
Okay. Willoughby, a little development coming in here. Willoughby Beach.
Willow Beach.
Willow Beach.
We wouldn't call it Willoughby and Willowick. Willow Beach is actually the name of the amusement park that was on the lakefront. Now, we're filming this
many years ago, yeah.
Yeah, it was right over where Willow Beach on Cresthaven is, in that particular area. There was an amusement park there. They had a merry-go-round, I think they had some type of Ferris wheel. I know the guy who ran the merry-go-round, and this is probably a legend, but it's kind of a cool story. He would go in an hour early every day to check for bones washing up from the Griffith disaster.
Okay, right.
So
where lots of lives were lost out in the lake.
Right. 250 lives were lost. So he would come in and see if any bones are coming up from the sand. So they had a roller coaster too before people were ever on roller coasters, but you had to drive your own car. So you drove your car on the roller coaster and went up and down the hills. I don't know about you, but it kind of doesn't seem real safe.
Oh, they didn't have those problems in those days.
I guess
those cars
not.
had no seat belts.
That's true.
No airbags.
No airbags, metal dashboards. So they decided to name the new development after the
old facility,
beachfront amusement park. So it's going to be called Willow Beach. It's going to be a beautiful facility. I've got the storyboards here to show, and our producer is going to.
Let me hold them for you. I'll get in a position that you can work with them. Okay, now you tell me where you're comfortable with it.
It's a low-budget show. We would have had an easel.
We're saving up.
This is going to be the building, and the building is 3 stories. Okay. And this land is right next to the Sugargate Towers. The city owns it. We sold it off to the Woda Group. That's the group that's developing this. You'll notice that they kept as many trees as they possibly can on the fronts and sides.
Because right now it's all trees. If somebody wants to look at it, it's all trees.
This side is not. This side is all trees. They're going to be planting more trees, and they have a vegetation plan as well. So this will be the building. And notice, here's the parking lot. Here there's a dog run. So if
you have an
elderly person, you have an animal, you can take them over there. And then in the back here is a trellis sitting area. This is just green space. A pavilion overlook.
The lake is right here.
The lake is right here. And then these are resident raised gardens. It's really a cool facility, I think.
Which room? We talked about this before. Which rooms are we going to take now?
You're over here.
Well, that's what I thought we're going to work on. At least I got out of the building
make us
this
go
time.
closer. So, They only need one variance for it, and that variance is for parking, because they want less parking. Usually the variance is for more parking, they want less parking, because their contention is they only need 50 spaces for 50 apartments, because most of these are single people anyway, and a good number of them don't drive. So the building itself will look like this.
There we go.
Pretty nice, modern-looking building.
Little balconies.
Yeah, every apartment gets a little balcony, and down here they'll probably have a patio, I'm sure. So, looks pretty cool. I'm excited about it. I'm starting my 11th year as mayor, and it's something I've been fighting for years. So it's finally going to come to fruition. I find that exciting.
3 stores, and I presume there'll be elevators and
Right.
big enough to handle a stretcher and all that good stuff.
Sure. They have to.
Yeah. Good.
So, and I show you the vegetation plan and all the plants that they're going to put in there, but you wouldn't be able to see them unless you're up close anyways, and sometimes pictures don't do them justice.
Right.
So our guess is that thing's going to be sold out in weeks. As soon as there's some type of a notice that people can get on a waiting list, I think they'll have that waiting list almost immediately. And
We got ours in, right?
no.
You were going to slip it on.
It's a good thing for the community on a number of levels. One, it provides housing for senior citizens. Secondly, the seniors sell their houses, their single-family homes, those go on the market, and they're sold, and there's more revenue to the city. And then if you look at schools, they're not going to be putting any people into the schools, although people will be buying their houses.
Which will be putting.
Will be. So in the long run, it creates jobs and brings in more new people.
What about a setup where, like, for example, say the widow or the widower moves there and their kids take over their house, it'd be nice. I mean, you'd be close to your parents, and yet you're in a
You could still
senior
do that.
Yeah, I mean, that could be, another market for this facility.
Sure.
We have so many options as we get older, don't we?
As you get older.
That's right.
I stay the same.
That's right. Okay, we got some new projects going here?
A couple of new businesses. Planet Fitness was one. That's it'll be open by the time this airs, and I will have cut the ribbon over there.
Okay.
The place is enormous. It's really big.
That's at the end of Shoregate, right?
Pretty much. It's where the old beverage
Federal Department Store was?
No, it's where the old beverage store was.
Oh, okay, the backside then.
Yeah. And ingress egress is going to be off of 305, which makes all the sense in the world to me.
Yeah, you got enough going in on the other.
Cleveland Burgers reopened, and it's the same owners, the same, a little different menu, but basically the same food, except that it's going to be open for the Cleveland Burger Company is open already, and it is. They seem to be doing okay, and they've had a couple fundraisers for charitable events over there,
nice.
and I've got to meet the new owner, and he seems like a great guy, and I just hope that they make it and do well.
Food's good?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not a fan of burgers all the time,
Right.
especially when you're putting these big giant hunks of cheese and all this other bizarre stuff on it. Me, I'm just a hamburger and a cheese kind of a guy.
The cardiologist kind of blew the whistle on this stuff too,
Over there, incidentally, the plain burger is called the Boring Brenda.
The Boring Brenda?
Boring Brenda.
Oh, there you go.
So
Named after?
I have
No idea. I've got to find out who Brenda is.
Right.
Ex-girlfriend or something.
Right.
Yeah, up theirs.
And then there's a Best Cuts going in. Extra, I think it is. I wrote it down so I wouldn't get it wrong. Great Cuts that went into Shoregate.
Great clips.
Great Clips. So Shoregate is pretty much filled. There's a couple other areas they want to. They may be able to put some things into. I don't think he wants to fill up what we used to call the mall area. That's the outdoor area
Right.
where the stores face each other in the back. Because that's more of a service area, like an insurance agent, something like that, where you don't need the visibility. And the fact that he hasn't put anything in there kind of tells me that there's never going to ever be anything in there. I know he's looking to possibly tear it down. Across from the fire station, where I really wanted a Chipotle, I really tried. That's going to be the Shargate Beverage. It's already in the shopping center. They're going to move over there because they can have a drive-through. And
yeah, they were kind of landlocked in a narrow building.
We're okay with them, but we're going to limit their turns as they move out of the building, because when you come out on the side, you have to make a right turn only. When you go into the building, you have to make a right turn. So whether you're going in or out, you have to make a right turn.
Mm-hmm.
So that's going to be kind of busy over there, I hope, at any rate.
Mm-hmm.
So that's about it. We talked about leaf pickup already.
Mm-hmm.
And so the next big thing for the city is to put together this budget, and we should be ready to roll. The budget has to be passed by April 1st,
Mm-hmm.
but we do budget hearings. We bring in the directors so they can explain their budget to City Council, and the City Council can ask questions. It's always been important to me that City Council knows exactly what's going on. That's why I give long reports at council meetings.
I'm surprised.
They always kid me about that.
A long report.
Get rid of the mayor.
Is that why everybody comes in with bagged lunches?
If you got rid of the mayor, the council meetings would be
Like that.
over in a half an hour. But I think it's really important that City Council, it's the legislative branch,
Right.
knows what the executive is doing, what he's thinking, what his
Why
thoughts
they're doing
are,
what they're doing.
why I'm proposing certain legislation, and the pitfalls of the legislation. If you get complaints, these are what the complaints are going to be. And most legislation that I ask for has to do something with fighting blight.
Yeah, you've been fighting it for years, and you got to keep fighting it.
Yeah, it's an ongoing battle. If you let your guard down, your city's going down the tubes real fast. So
It's like any house. My house was built in '98, and I've already redone the windows and sitting there how long for the roof, the furnace. It doesn't last forever.
right, right. Houses and people don't last forever. So.
You telling me something?
Yeah, we're always repairing.
Yeah, they can do it, thank God.
And it's the same thing even in our city buildings. We're in the council chamber right now. This room has to be redone. It's been the same for 37 years. There's wallpaper falling off the walls. This carpeting is in really bad shape. We're going to be removing this faux wall back here,
Mm-hmm.
and that's going to be a pine slat board, like the back part of the building is. And then I've got a sandblasted city logo that's going to go in the center there. And then not sure what we're going to do with the front of this table yet, and I'm not sure what I'm going to do with the directors' and chiefs' table. I'd like to make them mobile in case the room can be used for something else.
Okay.
We're going to leave this table in this configuration because it'll be too expensive to not do that. But we're thinking of some type of slat board in the front, and then redo something with the pictures in the back wall, the historical pictures. And we should be ready to reopen and get this place rocking.
Good.
So
That's about it.
It is. I certainly wish you and all of our residents a wonderful holiday and a fantastic New Year. And same to you and your family. So
You and yours. Thank
we
you
have
very much.
We have a new grandson. That was kind of exciting.
Isn't that exciting?
It is. He's only a month old, and so.
Oh, yeah,
And then my other grandson, they call him Terry Jr. and we call him TJ because I don't like that name. So we've changed his name, and his parents are not real happy with that. So. But it doesn't make any difference. I'm the grandpa, and damn it, I'll call him when I want.
That's right.
But he's a lot of fun, and then I still have a 15-year-old granddaughter. That's the love of my life as well. So it's just fun when they come over, and it's fun when they
Funner
leave.
when they leave.
That's right. That's right. So
Well, that's good. Okay.
you have a great holiday.
Yeah. Thank you for joining us, and like you said, have a great holiday, Christmas, New Year's. Have a safe one. See you next year. Thank you for joining us.